Because the only reason why the NHS is on borrowed time is because of the ballooned explosion of people that have come into our country and have put further demands on the NHS.
So then we import more people in,
Yeah.
so keep those wages down even further.
Sure.
And I'm tired of politicians saying things like, you know, this group of people in the country have contributed amazingly to the country. They never tell you how they contributed. And when you ask them and drill into people about what they meant was, well, they paid taxes. Well, paying taxes is the bare minimum of what you do in the country. That doesn't make you a good citizen when you pay your taxes. And being told they contribute is just one of those copes. It's one of those myths that people who've come here have helped build the UK now and build England. They haven't.
The NHS is an example of that, right?
Yes.
So the Labour Party tells us and the Conservative Party tells us that we need more immigrants coming to the country to service the NHS. Well, that's circular reasoning, because the only reason why the NHS is on borrowed time is because of the ballooned explosion of people that have come into our country and have put further demands on the NHS. And that's why the indigenous population seems to be always at the back of the queue. So the circular reason is we need people to come into our country to service the NHS, which has basically been ballooned by an immigrant community. So the whole thing is nonsense. It's fast.
Yeah. And when you say to British-born people, there's jobs here for you, well, I can't live on those wages. Why can't I live on those wages? Because of mass immigration keeps wages down. So then we import more people in, so keep those wages down even further.
Sure.
And it's this, for me, it's a Ponzi scheme.
Sure. Oh, well, I use the same phrase, actually.
It's a Ponzi scheme.
Yeah.
It's all short-termism.
Yeah.
The politicians in power today are kicking the can down the road because they don't want to deal with these problems, because it's going to take a lot of backbone and grit to deal with some of these problems. And they're going, I'm not up for this fight. Kick it down the road a bit. Someone else will deal with that 10 years from now.
Yeah, it's exactly the problem. Our politicians are short-termists. That's the problem. And they're always lining their own pockets. I mean, that's just blatantly obvious. The thing about the British people is the British people are not racist. The indigenous population of this nation, you know, there might be a few bad apples in the barrel, but as a people, we are not racist. We don't see skin color. You know, other nations may have that issue, but we don't. But what we do see is ideologies. And so we don't differentiate between races or color, but we do, as a people, differentiate about ideologies. And that's the core issue that many of us are looking at and saying, well, actually, I don't care whether you are brown, red, black, whatever. It's your ideology that I'm concerned with. And so that's the core issue. And that's why, our parliamentary system is not dealing with it, because they say all ideologies are equal, when they're plainly not.
I think I can simplify that a lot better than that. I think the British people are looking at that going, this isn't fair. So why is it fair that you can come to my country and demand this, demand that? Why is it fair that you can come to my country, then sexually abuse or rape our women? Why is it fair? So I don't think they look at ideology as in that way. I think they're looking at going, this goes against fairness. And the English and the British have always been, for many centuries now, a fair people.
That's why people come here, right?
Yes.
So people come here because they respect that cricket rule, you know, the English game. We want fairness across society.
I don't think they come here because they respect that. I think they come here because they know there's free stuff on offer.
It's an opportunity, yeah.
And they know it's better than where they were born.
Sure. There is an element, though, of individuals that are coming into our country. So I don't have a problem with immigration, okay, as long as it's controlled, as long as it's sensible immigration.
I got to a stage where I want zero immigration.
Okay, fine. And I think there is a point in time where and that's actually one of my points, where we're going to have to completely close our borders, COVID style, and recalibrate and work out who's in the country and get rid of. I think there's a point in time when we do literally have to have a complete moratorium and say no more and figure out, okay, you're out. But in principle, I don't have a problem with immigration people coming into this country. But I do have a problem with people who are coming into this country with an agenda.
Yeah.
And that agenda is not only anti-British, it is anti-democracy. They're coming into our country with an agenda to usurp our society. And that is an added form of tension that is coming to our society. So it is about fairness, but there's also this insidious side, right? This sedition that's going on in our society, where people are entering in our nation with an agenda to topple us, to usurp us, to remove our system of rule of law from the landscape. And that, for me, is the greater danger.
I agree with that. I don't think it's and you didn't say this, but I don't think it's a concerted effort, as in a plan, as in James Bond villain stroking a cat going, we're going to do this. To me, it comes down to the story of the frog and the scorpion. If we're importing scorpions, we cannot be surprised when scorpions act like scorpions.
Sure.
That's what they're bred to do. That's how the scorpions acted in their country. And we're looking at, and what we should have done and what we need to do is stop importing scorpions.
I agree. However, I would actually give it a little bit more specific detail and say those scorpions have an agenda. It's not just because that's what they've been bred to do. They actually have an agenda to usurp our society, and that is how I would give an additional definition to that scorpion.
Yeah.